Everyone thinks my success came from being the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy said, his Birmingham accent still thick after decades in America. But the real magic happened when Sharon became my manager, my wife, and my business partner. He smiled with genuine gratitude. I could write songs and put on shows, but Sharon could see the bigger picture, how to turn Ozzy Osbourne from a crazy rock star into a multimedia empire that would last forever. Tonight, I'm sitting across from Ozzy Osbourne, the man who went from unemployed factory worker to the Prince of Darkness to reality TV pioneer, building a $220 million empire that spans 5 decades. But as he's about to reveal, his transformation from self-destructive rock star to global brand wasn't due to his musical talent alone. It was the result of the most successful partnership in entertainment history with his wife and manager, Sharon Osbourne. When I met Sharon in 1979, I was a bloody mess, Ozzy continued, his famous intensity now tempered with hard-earned wisdom. Black Sabbath had just kicked me out for being too unreliable, even by rock star standards. I was drinking 2 bottles of cognac a day, doing enough cocaine to kill a horse, and had no clue how to function as a solo artist. The waiter brought our drinks, but Ozzy's focus remained on the woman who transformed his life and career. Sharon was working for her father, Don Arden, who was managing Black Sabbath. She'd grown up in the music business, understood contracts, negotiations, touring logistics, all the stuff that musicians are terrible at. But more importantly, she could see potential where others saw problems. What did she see in you that others missed? Raw talent buried under layers of self-destruction. Most managers would have seen a liability, an unpredictable addict who might not show up for gigs. Sharon saw a unique performer who just needed proper guidance and a sustainable business model. Ozzy showed me photos from his early solo career, pointing out Sharon's influence even in the smallest details. Look at these early promotional photos. Before Sharon, my image was accidental chaos. After Sharon, every element was calculated: the crosses, the dark imagery, the theatrical staging. She understood that my madness needed to be packaged and marketed properly to reach its full commercial potential. The Blizzard of Oz album in 1980 was our first collaboration, and it changed everything. Sharon didn't just book studio time, she assembled the perfect team, negotiated favorable deals, and created a marketing campaign that positioned me as a solo artist, rather than just an ex-Sabbath member. The first course arrived, but Ozzy's passion for crediting Sharon's business genius kept him engaged. The breakthrough was understanding that Ozzy Osbourne needed to be bigger than just heavy metal. Sharon saw that my personality, the unpredictability, the dark humor, the genuine madness could appeal to audiences beyond metalheads. She booked me on mainstream talk shows, where my accent and personality made me seem both dangerous and charming. American audiences had never seen anything like me, and Sharon made sure they saw me everywhere. How did she handle your addiction issues while building your career? That's where Sharon's genius really showed. Instead of trying to clean me up completely, she built systems around my chaos. She hired the right people, created backup plans for when I inevitably screwed up, and somehow kept the business running even when I was falling apart. Ozzy pulled up tour schedules from the 1980s, showing the meticulous planning behind seemingly spontaneous rock shows. Look at these tour documents. Every detail's mapped out. Backup musicians in case someone gets too wasted, alternate venues in case we get banned, even bail money budgeted into tour expenses. Sharon was planning for my unpredictability before I even knew I was going to be unpredictable. But she also understood that my madness was part of the product. Fans came to Ozzy shows expecting chaos, so she made sure we delivered controlled chaos that wouldn't destroy the entire operation. The Dove incident, the Alamo urination, biting the bat's head, these weren't accidents. They were Sharon understanding that controversy drives ticket sales and album purchases, as long as the controversy doesn't result in criminal charges or death. The main course was served, and Ozzy reflected on their personal and professional partnership evolution. Marrying Sharon in 1982 was the smartest business decision I ever made. though I didn't think of it as business at the time. Suddenly, my manager had a personal investment in keeping me alive and successful long-term, not just profitable short-term. Sharon started thinking generationally about the Ozzy brand, not just the next album or tour, but how to build something sustainable that could survive my inevitable health problems, addiction issues, and aging. Tell me about Ozzfest and how that expanded your empire. That was pure Sharon vision. By the 1990s, heavy metal was considered dead by mainstream music industry. Grunge had taken over. Metal bands couldn't get radio play or major label support. Most managers would have encouraged me to change musical styles. But Sharon saw an opportunity. She created Ozzfest in 1996, a traveling festival that celebrated heavy metal while showcasing new bands. Instead of competing with mainstream trends, we created our own ecosystem. Ozzy showed me Ozzfest financial documents demonstrating the festival's massive profitability. Ozzfest generated millions in revenue annually while establishing me as the godfather of heavy metal for new generations. Young bands paid for the opportunity to play, established bands paid premium rates for headlining slots, and fans paid ticket prices that reflected the festival's unique value. But the real genius was using Ozzfest to build relationships with upcoming artists. Sharon would sign promising metal bands to management deals, giving us revenue participation in their future success. How did the Osbournes reality show come about? That was Sharon seeing another paradigm shift before anyone else. By 2000, reality TV was exploding, but most shows featured unknown people or celebrities past their prime. Sharon realized that our actual family life was more entertaining than anything scripted television could create. The restaurant was quieter now, allowing us to explore the strategic thinking behind their most successful venture. The Osbournes wasn't just a TV show, it was a complete brand transformation. Suddenly, I wasn't just the Prince of Darkness, I was America's favorite dysfunctional dad, bumbling around a mansion while Sharon ran everything behind the scenes. The show generated $20 million in direct revenue. But more importantly, it introduced me to audiences who'd never bought a metal album. Suddenly, grandmothers knew who Ozzy Osbourne was, and they found me endearing rather than terrifying. Sharon understood that reality TV success required authentic personalities, not acting. We weren't playing characters, we were just being ourselves with cameras around. That authenticity resonated with audiences tired of polished celebrity images. What about your health challenges and how Sharon managed those? This is where Sharon's long-term thinking really saved us. When I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, most people assumed my career was over. But Sharon had been preparing for health issues for decades. She'd diversified our revenue streams beyond just touring and recording. Merchandising deals, licensing agreements, reality TV, publishing rights. We had income sources that didn't require me to perform physically demanding shows. Ozzy pulled up medical documents and business contracts, showing how health planning intersected with financial planning. Sharon also understood that my health struggles could actually enhance my brand value. The survivor aspect of my story became part of the product. Fans weren't just buying tickets to see the Prince of Darkness, they were witnessing a legend who'd survived everything rock and roll could throw at him. She positioned my continued performances as events rather than routine concerts. Each show became potentially historic because audience members knew they might be witnessing one of my final performances. How do you handle creative differences in such a close partnership? Sharon learned early that I'm an artist first, businessman never. She makes the business decisions and explains them to me in ways I can understand. I focus on creating music and entertaining audiences while trusting her to handle everything else. But she also respects my artistic instincts. When I want to work with specific musicians or explore different musical directions, Sharon finds ways to make those creative choices commercially viable. As our dinner wound down, Ozzy reflected on the broader implications of their partnership. The biggest lesson from my relationship with Sharon is that successful partnerships require complementary strengths, not identical skills. I'm chaotic, she's organized. I'm impulsive, she's strategic. I'm artistic, she's commercial. Together, we've built something that neither of us could have achieved alone. I might have had some success as a solo artist without Sharon, but I never would have built a multimedia empire or survived long enough to enjoy it. What's next for the Osbourne empire? Transition planning. Sharon and I are in our 70s, and we've been thinking about how to preserve and transfer what we've built to the next generation. Jack and Kelly have both shown business aptitude, and we're gradually involving them in major decisions. But Sharon's also building systems that can operate independently of both of us. The Ozzy brand, the music catalog, the intellectual property rights, these assets should generate revenue for our family long after we're gone. Sharon's taught me that building an empire isn't just about accumulating wealth. It's about creating something sustainable that benefits everyone who contributed to its success. What's your advice for other creative partnerships? Find someone whose skills complement yours rather than duplicate yours. I needed a business partner, not another musician. Sharon needed a unique artist, not another client who was easy to manage. Also, understand that successful partnerships require mutual respect and clearly defined roles. I don't try to negotiate contracts, and Sharon doesn't try to write songs. We stay in our lanes while supporting each other's expertise. Most importantly, find someone who believes in your potential even when you don't believe in yourself. Sharon saw the Ozzy empire before I knew empires were possible. As we stood to leave, Ozzy offered his final insight about partnership, talent, and empire building. I've been called the Prince of Darkness, the Godfather of Heavy Metal, a reality TV pioneer, all these titles that sound impressive. But the most important thing I've ever been is Sharon's partner. She took a self-destructive Birmingham factory worker and turned him into a global brand worth hundreds of millions. Not through luck or accident, but through systematic business strategy, long-term planning, and the kind of partnership that amplifies both people's strengths. Behind every successful madman is a brilliant woman making sure the madness pays dividends. That's not just my story. That's the secret formula for any creative empire that lasts. This evening with Ozzy Osbourne revealed that the most enduring entertainment empires aren't built by individual genius alone, but by partnerships that combine raw talent with strategic business thinking, and that sometimes the most valuable thing you can find isn't inspiration. It's someone who can turn your inspiration into an empire. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the other videos to hear the most private dinner conversations where billionaires reveal their deepest secrets. Which part inspired you the most? Drop it in the comments. Let's figure out how to become billionaires together.